The emergency beacon died mid-transmission. Admiral Kyle Harrison stood frozen on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the last human colony ship disappear into jump space. 50,000 souls gone. No fanfare, no formal declarations, just empty orbital stations and abandoned trade routes stretching across 6 sectors. The Galactic Council had pushed too far this time. Commander Lisa Morgan pulled up the final census report. Earth's embassies across 73 worlds had shuttered overnight. Research stations, mining operations, agricultural hubs, all evacuated within a standard week. Humanity had simply packed up and vanished into the uncharted regions beyond Council space. Kyle remembered the vote. The Council had stripped human voting rights after the Krell incident, claiming humans were too aggressive, too unpredictable for civilized governance. Never mind that humans had saved the Krell from extinction when their sun went unstable. Never mind the medical advances, the defensive technologies, the trade agreements that kept half the Council economies afloat. The Zentari ambassador had called humans dangerous. The Vorath representative nodded along, her translator barely hiding the contempt in her voice. 62 species voted to downgrade humanity to observer status. Permanent second-class citizens in a galaxy humans had helped stabilize. Captain Dan Wright transmitted the final message before his colony ship jumped. 3 words that would haunt the Council for generations. We are done. Now Kyle watched the tactical display marking every empty human facility. The defensive satellites around Proxima Station still operational but unmanned. The massive shipyards at Kepler's Edge, dark and silent. Agricultural worlds that fed 17 species, reverting to wilderness. Medical research centers that had cured 3 galactic plagues in the last decade, locked and encrypted. Lisa touched his shoulder. The Zentari are calling. They want to know when the grain shipments resume. Kyle almost laughed. Humanity supplied 40% of the Council's food production. He checked the timeline. The Centauri had maybe 6 months before widespread famine. The Vorath, with their high metabolic needs, had less than 3. Tell them to ask the Council, Kyle said quietly. We are just observers now, remember? The communication officer, Lieutenant Jake Foster, looked up from his console. Admiral, we are receiving distress signals. Multiple Council worlds are reporting critical shortages. Medical supplies, defensive grid maintenance, power core components, all human-provided services. Let me guess, Kyle said. They want us to fix it. Jake nodded. The Vorath are offering reparations. The Zentari are demanding we honor existing contracts. Kyle pulled up the star charts. Humanity had retreated beyond the galactic rim, into a region the Council had deemed too dangerous to explore. Unstable jump points, rogue gravity wells, and something the Council sensors could not identify. Humans had mapped it anyway, finding stable routes and habitable worlds the Council had overlooked. Send them this, Kyle ordered. Humanity is no longer part of Council space. All contracts terminated as of our reclassification. We wish you well. But sir, Jake started. Kyle cut him off. They made their choice. They called us dangerous, unpredictable, unworthy of equal standing. Fine. Let them see what the galaxy looks like without the dangerous humans to solve their problems. The numbers were staggering. Without human defensive technology, the Council's outer colonies were vulnerable to pirate raids. Without human agricultural techniques, at least 14 species faced food shortages within the year. Without human medical research, the Krovan plague would resurface, and this time there would be no cure. The Defiant was the last human military vessel in Council space assigned to oversee the evacuation. Kyle had orders to withdraw once the final transport cleared the border. That moment had arrived. Helm set course for Beacon Alpha 7, Kyle commanded. Take us home! As the Defiant's engines powered up, Kyle took one last look at the Council's core worlds. Beautiful, prosperous, stable. All of it built on a foundation humanity had helped create. All of it about to crumble because the Council had decided humans were not good enough to have a voice. The ship jumped, and Council space disappeared behind them. 3 days later, the Council convened an emergency session. Chairwoman Valara of the Zentari called the meeting to order. her usually composed features tight with stress. The grand chamber, built to accommodate delegates from 100 worlds, felt empty without the human section. "We need to discuss the human situation," Valara began. Counselor Thex of the Vorath stood, his bulk casting shadows across the chamber floor. "What situation?" "They left. Good riddance to warmongers and troublemakers." "The warmongers who saved your world from the Drex invasion," Counselor Mira of the Alvin species said softly. "The troublemakers who cured the wasting disease that killed half my people." Thex waved a dismissive claw. "We will adapt. The galaxy does not need humanity." Valara pulled up the economic reports. "In 3 days, we have lost 40% of our defensive grid maintenance. 17 colonies have reported food shortages. Medical facilities across 32 worlds are rationing supplies. The humans were not just participants in our economy, they were critical infrastructure." "Then hire others to do their jobs," Thex growled. "We tried," Mira said. The Corvin engineers looked at the human defensive satellites. "They cannot replicate the technology. The quantum computing alone is 2 generations beyond anything we have. The humans were not just good at what they did, they were better than anyone else." A junior counselor from the Plexian delegation stood nervously. "There is another issue. The humans took their data with them. Research archives, engineering specifications, agricultural formulas, all encrypted and deleted from council networks. They left nothing behind." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Valara called for order, her translator struggling to cut through the chaos. When the noise died down, she spoke carefully. "I am receiving reports that some members voted for human reclassification because they feared human advancement. Is that true?" Dex shifted uncomfortably. Humanity had been in council space for only 2 centuries, yet they had risen faster than any species in recorded history. They held key positions in defense, medicine, agriculture, and engineering. Some of us felt they were becoming too influential. "So you sabotaged them out of jealousy," Mira said flatly. "And now we are paying the price." A message arrived on Valara's console. She read it twice, her skin turning pale. "The Corvin shipyards have halted construction. They cannot proceed without human-designed power cores. The defense satellites around the core worlds will fail within 6 months without maintenance. The agricultural crisis will reach critical levels in 4 months. "Contact the humans!" someone shouted. "Offer them whatever they want!" Valara tried. The human communication channels were dead. Every embassy, every trade mission, every diplomatic vessel, all silent. He sent messages to the coordinates where humanity had fled, but the replies were automated. "Humanity is no longer accepting communications from council space. Please do not attempt further contact." Counselor Thex finally understood the magnitude of their mistake. The humans had not just left, they had severed every connection. No negotiation, no gradual withdrawal, no chance for the council to change its mind. Humanity had given them exactly what they voted for: complete separation. "We need to send a delegation," Thex said urgently. "We need to apologize, renegotiate, something." Mira laughed bitterly. "A delegation? To say what?" "We are sorry we called you inferior, but we need you to come back and save us." "The humans are not coming back, Thex." "They are done with us," the reports kept flooding in. "Pirate attacks on outer colonies increased by 300% without human patrol ships. The Zentari agricultural output dropped 40% without human pest control technology. A minor plague outbreak on Vorath Prime that human doctors could have contained in days spread to 17 cities in a week. The Council had built an empire on the assumption that humans would always be there, always solving problems, always innovating, always helping. They had taken humanity for granted, and now the bill was coming due. Valara adjourned the meeting. There was nothing more to say. The Council had made its choice, and humanity had responded in the most devastating way possible. Not with violence, not with threats, but with absence. In the halls outside the chamber, delegates whispered nervously. Some blamed Thex and the Vorath for pushing the reclassification vote. Others blamed themselves for not speaking up. A few, the honest ones, admitted they had underestimated just how much the galaxy needed humanity. Far beyond the galactic rim, Admiral Kyle Harrison stood on the observation deck of New Terra Station. The colony ships were arriving in waves, finding new worlds to settle, new civilizations to build, free from the council that had rejected them. Commander Lisa Morgan joined him at the window.
"The council is trying to contact us," Kyle nodded. "Ignore them."
For how long? Kyle thought about the vote, about the contempt in the council's eyes when they stripped away humanity's rights. He thought about the centuries of human sweat and blood poured into making the galaxy safer, healthier, better. He thought about the gratitude humanity had received in return. Forever, Kyle said quietly. We gave them everything. They decided it was not enough. Let them learn what nothing feels like. Lisa hesitated. Some of them will die. The plague, the famines, the raids. Kyle turned to face her. We offered them partnership. They chose hierarchy. We offered them respect. They chose contempt. We offered them our best. They called it dangerous. Every consequence they face now is a choice they made. We are not responsible for saving people who do not want to be saved. Behind them, New Terra Station hummed with activity. Human engineers designed better ships. Human doctors researched new cures. Human farmers cultivated new crops. Human teachers educated the next generation. All of it happening beyond the Council's reach, beyond their control, beyond their ability to benefit from it. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humanity had never needed the Council. The Council had needed humanity. And now, in the silence left by human departure, that truth was becoming impossible to ignore. 6 months passed, and the situation in Council space deteriorated. The Centauri famine killed millions. The Vorath plague spread to 42 worlds. Pirate raids destroyed entire colonies. The carefully balanced economy that humanity had helped build collapsed like a house of cards. Desperate, the Council sent Ambassador Kelvin of the Plexians into the uncharted regions. He was young, idealistic, and had voted against human reclassification. If anyone could reach humanity, Villara reasoned, it would be him. Kelvin's ship navigated the dangerous jump points, following the trail humanity had left. After 3 weeks, he emerged in a system that made him gasp. 17 habitable worlds, all terraformed or in progress. Massive orbital stations that dwarfed anything in Council space. Ship designs he did not recognize, sleek and powerful. A human patrol intercepted him immediately. Captain Jennifer Brooks hailed his ship with cool professionalism. State your business, Ambassador. Kelvin transmitted his credentials. I come seeking dialogue. The Council wishes to open negotiations with humanity. Jennifer's expression did not change. Humanity is no longer interested in Council affairs. Please return to Council space. But Kelvin pushed forward. People are dying. The Centauri famine, the Vorath plague, the colony raids. We need help. Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke slowly, deliberately. When the Alvin were dying from the wasting disease, humanity spent 15 years developing a cure. We asked nothing in return. When the Drex invaded Vorath Prime, human ships jumped in to defend them. We lost 3,000 sailors that day. When the Centauri faced crop failures, human agricultural experts worked around the clock to save their harvest. We did all of this as partners, as equals. Kelvin nodded. I know. That is why I am here. No, Jennifer said sharply. You do not know. Because after all of that, after decades of human sacrifice and human innovation and human blood, the Council decided we were too dangerous to have a voice. You took away our rights and expected us to keep serving. Did you really think we would? Kelvin felt the weight of her words. We made a mistake. You made a choice, Jennifer corrected. And now you live with it. Go home, Ambassador. Tell the Council that humanity is building something new out here. Tell them we are thriving without them. Tell them we wish them well, but we are not coming back. But the deaths, Kelvin pleaded.
Jennifer's eyes hardened.
Every death in Council space is on the Council's hands, not ours. You had our help and threw it away.
You called us dangerous for being good at what we do. You punished us for being competent. What did you think would happen?
Kelvin had no answer. He returned to Council space with Jennifer's message, and the Council chamber fell silent as he delivered it. The truth was inescapable now.
Humanity was not coming back. The golden age of Council prosperity, built on human innovation and human sacrifice, was over.
Valara stood before the assembled delegates, her voice tired. We have a choice.
We can spend our energy trying to lure humanity back, or we can accept reality and start rebuilding on our own. I propose we do the latter.
But we need them, Thex protested weakly.
No, Mira said, standing beside Valara. We needed them. Past tense. They are gone because we drove them away. The question now is whether we can survive without them.
That is on us to figure out. The Council voted to cease all contact attempts with humanity. They would focus on internal solutions, on developing their own technologies, on filling the void humanity had left. It would take generations.
Some species might not survive the transition, but it was their only path forward.
In the years that followed, stories filtered back to Council space. Humanity had made contact with species beyond the rim, forming new alliances based on mutual respect.
Human ships explored regions the Council had deemed impossible. Human colonies flourished in ways the Council had never achieved.
And every time a Council species faced a crisis, every time their inferior technology failed, every time they struggled with problems humanity had made look easy, they remembered the vote. They remembered the day they decided humanity was too dangerous, too unpredictable, too successful to deserve equality. They remembered the silence that followed, the empty spaces where humans had been, the absence of the people who had held their civilization together. They remembered, and they regretted. But humanity did not look back. They had offered the galaxy their hand in friendship, and the galaxy had slapped it away.
There would be no second chance. Humanity was done with the Council, and the Council would have to learn to be done with humanity. Far beyond the rim.
On a thriving human world called New Earth, Admiral Kyle Harrison retired. He spent his days teaching young officers about the Council years, about the lessons learned, about the importance of self-reliance. And when his students asked if humanity would ever return to Council space, Kyle always gave the same answer. The Council wanted observers.
We gave them what they wanted. We observed from a distance as they reaped what they sowed. Maybe in a few generations, when they have learned the value of partnership, someone will try again. But that someone will not be us. We are done paying for respect we should have had from the start.
His students nodded, understanding. Humanity had left silently, without war or threats or demands. They had simply removed themselves from a situation where they were not valued. It was the most powerful statement they could have made. And across the galaxy, in the struggling Council space, that silence spoke volumes.
Humanity had been the foundation, the problem solvers, the innovators, the defenders. Without them, the galaxy was learning just how much it had taken for granted. The Council's golden age was over, ended not by invasion or disaster, but by their own arrogance. They had held the galaxy's most valuable asset and thrown it away because they could not accept that humans were simply better at certain things. Now they paid the price, and humanity watched from beyond the rim, building something better, something that valued contribution over politics, competence over comfort, and respect over hierarchy. The Council had wanted humans gone. Humanity had obliged, and in their absence, the galaxy learned the hardest lesson of all. Some things once lost cannot be recovered. Some bridges, once burned, cannot be rebuilt. Some mistakes cannot be fixed. Humanity was done with the Council.
And the Council, broken and struggling in the darkness humanity had left behind, finally understood what that meant. They had voted for human silence.
They got it. Forever.